adventures.
Greetings all, Chuke here from Chuke's Outdoor Adventures. Well, I wanted to talk about a disturbing trend that I see happening now. Now, up here in Alaska in the rural communities, we have a store called Three Bears, and it's my favorite store. It is basically a Costco big box bulk store, but you can also go there and buy firearms and ammunition. It's great. And the guys behind the counter are very informative. And I talked to an older gentleman today, and he kind of shared with me some concerns. He didn't say it outright, but in so many words, he shared with me some concerns that were kind of eye-opening. Now, I went there to get 40 Super because I got this new Barstow barrel and 40 Super for a Glock 21, and it is very difficult to find 40 Super ammunition. Thankfully, I got a couple boxes. I'm also going to do some reloading, but I'm always checking at stores up here in Alaska for 40 Super. Incredible cartridge, way more powerful than 10 millimeter. It's getting up there. Not quite 460 rolling, but getting close to some 44 Magnum power in a semi-automatic platform. It's going to be a lot of fun when I put it together. So we're going to talk about rifle calibers and pistol calibers, kind of these newer calibers and wildcats. So I asked this gentleman, do you have any 40 Super? And he said, oh yeah, you 30 Super carry? And I said, oh no, the 40 Super is different. They had several brands of 30 Super carry, and I was curious because I kind of saw that brand tank. I had been so close to getting a Shield or something in 30 Super carry, especially if they came out with the Shield Plus or something I could put an optic on. But I've always been hesitant because we see the ammo here. Finally, it's showing up. There's like 3 or 4 brands I can buy at, even some of the bigger stores like Sportsman Warehouse. And I asked him, how's that 30 Super carry doing? Are you selling some? And he said, well, we got a bunch of pistols in it a year ago, and they're just kind of sitting there, and we've got the ammo. But yeah, it's really not selling. He said it without totally saying. You could tell he was kind of bummed about it because they invested in some stock of 30 Super carry. The idea is cool, something a little more powerful, equal or slightly better ballistics in some cases than 9mm with a little bit better capacity. But I just can't keep up with 9mm a NATO round, and you can buy it in bulk, and there's just so many options, and it just didn't take off. So the pistols are just sitting there. It doesn't seem like people are buying the pistols and the firearms. So he was kind of bummed about that. Then we started talking about the rifle rounds, and he was really bummed about that because he said, they keep coming out with these new rounds, and we're going to talk about a few of them, like 7mm PRC. It's great on paper, but what's wrong with the 270? And then he went on to say, and then this made him sad, they're no longer, he called his dealers, and they're sending him 7mm PRC and some newer stuff like 350 Legend, but they told him that they are no longer producing 26 Nosler, which was a bummer. That came out, what, 7 years ago? And, they bought rifles in it, and they're getting this ammo, and guess what? All this new stuff is coming out. Now they're not producing any, the 26 Nosler. So the guys that buy the rifles, what are they supposed to do now? If you don't reload, or, it's just kind of a bummer. And he also stated that the pandemic had a play in all of this too, because he said during the pandemic when they weren't getting new stock, guys came in and just bought out everything. A lot of, oh, I'll buy this Wildcat round because it's not selling out, and this rifle. And so they bought out a lot of the stock, and now it seems like the dealers are coming out with this new stuff, but they don't care about the other stuff. Now, when it comes to pistols, I am very happy that I can buy all the 357 SIG I want. Surprisingly, I know of 3 stores right now I could just load up on 357 SIG. Luckily, I already have a lot, and that has been my carry. I got this shield. It was originally a 40 shield, and it is now chambered in 357 SIG. I got a mag guts spring in there. So I'm happy about that, because some of the calibers, I mean, I don't think that's going to die out. People say 357 SIG is dying. It's really not. It's gained popularity ever since a couple of those, you know, mass shoot shirtings or whatever, starting 3 years ago, and even one in the last year, where people see it as very capable. And thankfully that's going. But, you know, 40 Super, 45 Super, I can't find. And I don't know if they're going to restock it. And so it's kind of a mixed bag. It's kind of a double-edged sword, because the new pistol rounds, I don't think they're going to make it on the market. You can't keep up with the NATO rounds, and there's not enough interest. They're not that great to justify moving to a whole new platform. Rifle rounds, on the other hand, those have a little bit more benefits, especially with long range. We're seeing some, you know, rounds that can have, you know, more power at 500 yards. Just going through it, we've got the 6.8 Western. It came out this year. You know, it's a shortened 270 Winchester short magnum. You know, they use that case to make room for a longer, heavier bullet. So you've got sometimes 18% more energy than a 7mm at 500 yards, 6% more energy than a 300 Win Mag at 500 yards, with considerably less recoil. Now that is, I mean, that's pretty compelling. I mean, that when you talk about hunting cartridges, especially in the States, these new cartridges they're putting out in the States, where the guys got to go with the flat wall, straight wall cartridges because of the rules in their state. We also got the 6mm ARC, which is made for the AR-15 platform, which is nice to have options. Can reach out to longer distance and outperform the 6.8 SPC and even the 6.5 Grendel. That's pretty compelling. I mean, it's nice. And we got the 360 Buckhammer, similar to the 350 Legend, is that straight wall cartridge, part of the Corlock family. Looks very capable, and it's going to help you get around, you know, some of these hunting laws. And I think that especially is a good idea. They should do more stuff like that. And finally, we come to the 7mm PRC. You know, fills the niche between the 6.5 and the 300 PRC. I think it's great that they're doing this, but what about the 26 Nosler? Now they're not putting anything out for that, and guys just might have bought their rifle 4 years ago for the 26 Nosler. So it's kind of these greed of the companies, I feel, oh, you know, put something out new for SHOT Show and this and that, and then this is the new thing. But guess what? We're not going to, you know, make any ammunition for the round that didn't take off 6 years ago. So it's this trend, and I was talking to him, and we both agreed I'd rather have my 270 Winchester, because it's interesting. A lot of these new rounds are all, a few of them are in that family of like Creedmoor, 140 grain, that same kind of size as the 270 Winchester, whereas you know, and maybe it has more stopping power at 600 yards. Well, they do for a 270 Winchester, but you don't have as many options with rifles, and you don't have all the bullet manufacturer options that 270 Winchester has. And 270 Winchester just puts animals down. Something about the bullet shape, the size, the power, it just kills animals and harvests them ethically. Whereas some of these Wildcat rounds, you know, we don't know how they're going to open up, and, you know, they're going to do more damage. But realistically, I don't really take too many shots over 400 yards, and most ethical hunters aren't going to do long range hunting. So the 270 Winchester is just fine for that. Why do you need all that? Put out some more barrel lengths for the 270 Winchester with some different twists, and put out new bullets for the 270 Winchester. That's what I think they should focus on, except instead of doing the new greatest and latest thing, and let's forget about what we released 6 years ago. So it's a disturbing trend that I feel is happening. Let me know what you guys think. Please chime in the comments. I'm going to have my video up tomorrow on what I did to my M1A SOCOM 16. It is transformed once again. I'll be hunting with it here in about 5 days. So thanks for tuning in. Please hit the subscribe button. Become a patron if you can. Thanks. It's Chuke, your friend in the field.
My name is Chuke. I like to trade my guns just for fun, but now I have none. Oh, look, get shot by a bear, but I don't care. I got a 10mm. Chuke's Outdoor Adventures. Watch you all die every time.